What up, YouTube land? We're here. Shadows of Rose.
More like Shadows of Mid, am I right?
Yeah, it's really.
So we're just gonna do a normal playthrough. I'm not trying hard in this. I only could stomach. I played this game like twice, and I was like, I do not want to play this anymore.
Standard. Blah, blah, blah. Remind me again. Shadows of Rose, regardless, is third person, right?
Yeah.
There's no third person. Okay.
It's funny because I think this game or this DLC would be more effective if it was first person, because this is like.
Okay.
This is as close as Resident Evil has ever gone to like being horror.
You said you had something important to tell me? I hope it's not about Chris and Joy's operation, because I already told him.
Rose
that
is
it's not
interesting looking.
See where he puts you in the rest of
I think she does look like Mia, and
I think she looks just like Mia.
It is.
and although Ethan doesn't have like an official face, there's a lot of like renders that you can see of him, and
Don't worry about you.
Rose really does look like Mia and Ethan together, but neither of them are like. That's why
That's what you wanted to
Rose
talk
looks
to
a
me
little
about?
odd.
The mean girl still hassling you.
You know, they still treat me like a freak.
Hey.
I mean,
Look at me.
Canine.
Freak.
if the other girls were like, oh my god, I'd be like, okay, I'll just explode your head with my brain power. I literally am an X-Man. I'm literally a member of the X-Men in real life.
She's she's Mold X-Men.
Yeah. I'm trying to think of what's her superpowers again?
You can talk to.
Talk to? About what?
Can
How I'm hardly even human? How I'm
turn things to stone, I guess.
monster?
I'm trying to think of who the closest X-Men would be to
It's
that.
okay. I hardly ever
I mean,
remember
She
my
can
friends.
sweat white stuff.
Literally one of the most popular X-Men of all times. The whole thing is he throws cards. So it doesn't necessarily have to be a really cool thing. It just, I'm Gambit, I throw cards. And people were like, that's actually really cool.
Whenever I see that attack, anytime the Gambit uses it, in Marvel vs. Capcom 2, he has like a really weird voice line where every single time he says that, it sounds like he's saying, credit card! And I just think about that every single time.
I didn't know that canonically Gambit is Hispanic. So in the new Deadpool/Wolverine movie, Gambit's in it. And the joke is that he has a really, really hard to understand Hispanic accent. Like I think it's Channing Tatum, so it's a white guy who's playing Hispanic and being like, yo man, like literally like that, like worse than that. And I was like, I literally asked Ash, I was like, I don't know what's happening here when
That's
we were watching
weird.
that movie. And she was like, oh, he's Hispanic. And I was like, oh, I had no idea that Gambit was Hispanic. But he was like, yo man, he's the Wolverine man, he's the Deadpool man. I was like, wait, what movie am I watching right now?
Pass away in close proximity to Miranda and everything she knows. If you enter its consciousness, you might be able to solve the mystery.
So I guess they got a sample of the Mega Mycete somehow and preserved it for almost 20 years. Okay.
Your deep connection.
I mean, if we've learned anything from the Aliens series, it's if you find something you don't understand and then you realize that it's
That sounds crazy.
a terrible power,
Yes.
what you should do is take a sample of it.
And try to weaponize it.
Yeah, don't just let it die.
By the
Don't
way,
just...
I just want to remind people that in Alien Resurrection, the
Oh,
fourth
boy.
movie, the plot is that they take a cell of oh man, what's her
How would I
name?
even
The
do
main
this?
character of the Alien movies.
Ripley.
They take a cell of her and they make a clone of her, and for some bizarre reason,
Okay.
I guess her genes got altered by the fact that she got implanted by alien egg in the third
What the
movie.
hell?
So when she gets cloned, she has an alien. She's like half human, half alien. It makes no sense at all.
Do you think anyone out there shipped Ripley and a xenomorph? I don't even have to ask that question.
Yeah,
I know the answer.
Resurrection is still better than Alien 3 though. Alien 3 is horrible.
Stay away from
I wish somebody kept the director's cut of that. I think it was David Fincher, who's one of the best directors of all time, but he was just destroyed by the studio being like, no, do it this way. And apparently there was a David Fincher cut which actually ruled, but it was like lost to time.
Interesting. It's weird that the studio was like, hey, can you make this as depressing as possible and also have this weird, like, religious subtext to these, like, inmates in this horrible world?
I think Matt McMuscles did a video on it.
I have to watch that.
I'm pretty sure.
Where are you?
Literally,
Hey!
what happened, the Matt McMuscles thing, it comes down to two things, always. It's, one, the studio/publisher intervened, or two, the studio/publisher did not intervene. There's literally, and I say that in a binary and non-binary way, but, like, obviously when they intervene, and, like, they take someone like Kojima and they're like, no, do this, get it out really quick, that's bad. But there's also sometimes where they're like, let him cook. And then someone like Tim Schafer's like, okay, how can we waste $8 million on this random project or whatever? It's just, you gotta find the suits gotta know when to let them cook and when to, that's literally their job, when to stop them.
Yeah, you do need a good balance of both, I guess.
Because otherwise, you're just gonna have like something that the person will never release because they'll just never be happy with it. They'll be like, "Oh, we should add this. We should do this." You'll have like Beyond Good and Evil 2, which is still kind of being made, kind of maybe.
Talking about that, apparently there was some news like today about Ubisoft upper management or like the board of directors hiring like staff specifically to maximize like corporate payouts, which is basically means that they probably think they're going to go bankrupt soon, and doesn't surprise me. But talk about the most mishandled video game studio of all time.
Yeah. I mean,
how they just went in the dumpster.
To think that Assassin's Creed Valhalla made over $1 billion and somehow they fumbled after that, like that. What like a company like the company that makes Baldur's Gate is called Valerian, right? I'm pretty sure.
I don't know.
Anyway, you have a company like that, and they have one mega hit like that, and that'll like have them good to go. No, for like 10 years. Because they'll, like, use the money wisely and whatever. But Ubisoft is like, that's my name.
You got it.
Ubisoft will be like, great,
by the way,
50 million to the 50 million to the CEO, 20 million to the second in command, 10 million to the third in command. That's how you know companies are amazing, when they're like, oh, we're probably going to go bankrupt soon. Better get the biggest payouts for the higher ups humanly possible.
I heard some rumors about how they might have made like Ubisoft like into a private company again, like buy out all the public like stakeholders, so they could just do what they want again. But it's probably not true.
I don't know. I'll every time I just hear about like when a company goes public, it just all seems like a negative to me. I understand that you make a lot more money that you can use towards like getting bigger and whatever, but like almost every time,
I think it's just a necessary evil to get bigger.
Unless you
just getting that initial capital to expand your business.
Unless you do it extremely slowly. You have to be like very patient.
You have to be patient, smart, and good, and not mess up once. I don't even know his name. Some famous economist, rich guy from like 70 years ago has a famous saying where he says, "The first $100,000 that you make is a biatch, and then after that it's easy." Now, obviously, like that was like in 1960s money. So essentially, what he's saying is, the first million you make is hard, but then after that it's easy. And I definitely see what they're talking about. Because the only way to really make a lot of money is to, like, have a lot of money. If that makes sense. Yeah, and have
like,
that huge infrastructure and, like, have everything already done so you can just optimize it as much as possible.
It's like, if you have $1 million, you can be like, great, I can easily put this into a bunch of different stocks that'll, probably do well, like Amazon and Apple and whatever. I don't know, buy a rental house, whatever. Like, there's like a whole bunch of things, but it's like getting to that point is the very, 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 very difficult part. There are some companies out there, like big companies, that have never gone public.
I mean, the biggest one in gaming is obviously Valve, is still a private company.
That's crazy.
Which is, it's impressive that they are, but Valve has kind of pioneered a lot of this stuff in video games that I hate in terms of monetization. They're really like the first ones to like make loot boxes, and like it's for like Counter-Strike, it's case openings, but it's literally the same thing. You just open randomized cases for skins, and you can either get keys from playing the game or spending money. It is just the modern day loot box. I don't know. Valve is they're not as bad as most companies, but I feel as if they could do a lot better, and they're very monetized themselves, so they're definitely not a perfect company.
Man, I will never understand loot boxes and or buying stuff for just cosmetics. Even in Madden Ultimate Team, which I hate, like, it makes sense because, like, oh, you can get a player that is better, and therefore your team is better, and therefore you win more, and therefore you have more fun. But, like, to just be, like, in Fortnite, like, oh, I finally got this skin, and everything acts exactly the same, but I have this skin. I will never understand. I just don't get it.
Yeah, I think there's a lot of things. For Fortnite, it's like, you know, it's not just skins. You get, like, emotes and, like, dances and stuff. I think it's just really just like the street cred, I guess.
Yeah, of course.
Valve's case is that they have like engineered this elaborate marketplace and like economy around their skins and like TF2 hats. Sorry, I'm a little sick right now. Where you can sell your like knife skins, and like some of them can be so rare they can go for like thousands of dollars. Obviously, that's very rare, but it's crazy. It like legitimately happens,
and that means there's somebody out there spending thousands of dollars for a skin. I would, you know, if a game was super rare, I could see spending that on it because you could like, I don't know. It's the same thing with like NFTs and stuff. I never quite understood it. Rose.
There's some good body horror stuff in this DLC. It's not the only good thing about this DLC, but this is legitimately kind of scary.
Say what?
Other than Rose's weird powers.
That feel when Rose's hand didn't get cut off.
Doing it. I can finally... This is Rose's sprint. She is just like barely a jog.
I'm so scared I'm running as fast as I can!
Dead end.
Hey, it's this room.
Yeah, this DLC is made up of nothing but reused rooms. It is amazing how much they reuse. What's this?
I'm gonna give a reference that no one's gonna understand. This way! Where's my Mega Man Legends 2 fans out there? Huh? That feel one. I still gotta play Misadventures of Tron Bonne for like an LP or something. I tried it out before and was like, oh, it's minigames, essentially.
Yeah. It's like
it's like a step above mini games, but it's like, oh, it's individual stages of things to do. Do you see that Clock Tower 1 for PS1 is like well over $200 nowadays?
That's crazy.
And Clock Tower 2 is like $400. That feel when I bought that on, it was the very first thing I ever bought on eBay. In fact, I wasn't even old enough to have like an eBay account, so I used my older friend's account, and it was like $60. And I was like, I'm paying way too much for this. Who would have known? Although that was in like 2006 money, which, because the economy's not a real thing, maybe $60 back in 2005 or 6 is the same as $400 nowadays.
What is this?
It's definitely possible.
Where am I?
Get out while you still can!
Not until I get this out of my body. There's a crystal here that will remove the mold. I need to find it. And I'm not leaving until I do. Who are you? My guardian angel?
I can't tell you.
Sure.
Do you have a name? You're an angel, then. Gabriel? Michael?
Call me Big Mike.
Oh my god.
Michael?
Okay, Michael.
What now?
Leave.
Yes. Not Ethan. What?
Who?
Okay.
He lives in the... Ooh.
These poor things.
This is your running speed, by the way.
The whole game.
Basically.
It's been a while since I played.
I think it's a little bit faster, but she just moves so slow.
Looks like we caught another.
Who that? I can't tell who it is. He's masked.
Aren't you? You should have put that effort into running. It would have made the change.
Yeah, who else has that body type? Oh wait, every single person. Look how...
Oh my god.
It would seem
That
this
means
little
Duke is
rabbit
literally
lacks the
like...
necessary fortitude.
If he stood up, literally 15 feet tall minimum.
Oh yeah.
A pity. You had shown a little grit and actually escaped. That purifying crystal would now be yours.
The crystal.
Who's this? Oh, now we have a new little rabbit to pursue. Let's see how fast this one is. Find her! Hunt her down!
It's actually kind of impressive Duke was able to find clothes that, like, don't quite fit him. Because they have to be, like, the biggest clothes in the world, you know what I mean? To even, like...
Presumably he's very rich, so he probably just get a tailor.
Then why doesn't his tailor make him something even bigger?
Because he's rich but also cheap. Like most rich people. No!
Oh, really?
Seriously?
Seriously?
Could be like Moira in Revelations
Where am I
2.
gonna get a
No!
gun?
I won't use a gun! I won't use a
Oh
gun!
yeah, it's like, what happened to her? Where she has a gun phobia?
Didn't her mom get killed by a gun or something? No, her sister, I think. Her sister got killed by a gun, so she's like, I refuse to use a gun even if zombies are about to eat me. And it's like, very cool.
So these guys are, they're basically reskins of the ghoul enemies. They're basically the same AI. But if they grab you, it does a lot of damage. On the hardest mode, it instantly takes you down to red bar health.
How in the world does Duke move?
That's a good question.
At least they let you go through Lady D's castle again.
I mean, it's
a reskin, yeah. Or reuse. But it's cool to go through it again.
It's cool. I wish it was something else, though.
Yeah. Well, especially since it was like a year after the game came out. Like, by the time I played it, I was like, oh yeah, this.
That's true.
If you would play like... it's just different. If you would play the Gold Edition, you might be like...
Oh, nice.
You might be like... Oh, I just was here. It's the same thing of watching a TV show every week when it comes out compared to just binging the whole thing.
Yeah. But if you buy the Gold Edition now, and then go immediately to Shadow Rose, it's just
really
like...
want to help? You could back me up against those things.
Can't.
What?
I am...
So, I'm on my own? Great.
I wonder... So wait, he can create a gun and ammo and stuff out of thin air, but he can't help with the things? I don't get it.
Nope.
I would understand if he couldn't, like, interact with the
right.
world. I'd be like, okay. But I'd be like, hey, create me a shotgun. You just made me a handgun. Just create me a grenade launcher.
No, you gotta get this one, bro.
Hey, Michael, will you please, like, just burn that down? Because it looks like you can burn stuff when you write. No? Okay.
Of course not. Man, I was doing pretty good the last like 5 hours, but I guess starting to speak, it's hard not to cough. But I'll try.
That gross lumpy thing?
Do it.
How am I supposed to break it? My powers. I literally came here to get rid of them.
Literally. So I started playing this game called Numata.
Fine. But
P-N-E-U-M-A-T-A.
what am I supposed to do?
It'll probably be the next LP game I do. It's pretty interesting. It's kind of a jank horror game, but it's kind of a mixture of like Outlast, a little Resident Evil, it's like a little bit of like a Blair Witch kind of thing. And apparently it was made by either one guy or like a very, very, very small team. It has a little bit of Silent Hill as well, in so much where, like, one of the first main places you go through is this big apartment building, and it's kind of set up like a Silent Hill where you have to, like, find item A to open item B, you know, kind of thing. So, I'm enjoying it so far.
Nice. Sounds cool.
It's, I literally got it because the, man, these guys take a lot of bullets.
Yes. These guys are very tanky, and Rose is very bad at shooting.
To be fair, it does check out.
Yeah, I mean, she is... Yeah, I guess 18? I don't know.
Also, she's, I think, literally she just asked how to use a gun. And Ethan was like, point and shoot.
Yep.
But yeah, I like, I think one thing the PS5 does,
No way I'm waiting for that.
it's pretty hilarious to me that PS3 had this, like, big meme back in the day on the internet of PS3 has no games, which is true. It literally had no games. But I think the PS5 is even worse than the PS3 for that. And it's, like, not as memed as PS3 having no games was. Like, PS5 has... it's been 5 years since the system came out. Or 4, I guess. 4, because it was late 2020.
Yeah, 4 in a couple months.
And it's like, PS5 does not have a lot of games. However, one thing that I think has been amazing for the PS5 lifespan has been indie horror games, which is why if you Here's a free piece of video game investment advice. Here we go. You ready? If you see an indie horror game that gets released physically on PS5 and it's like $30 or less, just buy it, because the chances of it becoming like shovelware cheap stuff in the future is very low. And there's so many. I will say this, I go out of my way to just like search for random PS5 indie horror games that somehow got physical release. I'm not talking limited run or anything, just like somehow got releases. And I am constantly surprised by how many.
Yeah, it's a weird time for video games, because you have a lot of these huge corporations trying to eliminate physical copies because they don't want to have that middleman take the cut. And, it's like, Sony gets more money, the publisher gets more money, they have less ownership rights, you can't, like, refund as easily. Like, it's obvious why they're pushing digital so hard. But now we're having, like, all these, like, very small companies and, like, very dedicated, like, indie publishers emerge, I guess, to fill the void. It's a pretty interesting time for video games.
It really is. And in the, oh my god, dead, broken legs. In the future, 5-10 years from now, a lot of PS5 games are going to be pretty dang expensive, because I go out of my way to try to stay abreast of the new horror stuff that's out, and sometimes I'll literally just have to like go on like Reddit threads or just randomly like go on Amazon or eBay and be like, horror game PS5, and new stuff will pop up all the time where I'm like, oh, like this new Mata game, the fact that it got a physical release and our distributor carries it, I was like, what? So I ordered it because I was like, cool. But yeah, there's going to be a lot of stuff that's just going to be like, I even personally think that there certain big AAA games will be rare one day for PS5. Like, for instance, it came out like 2 years ago. How many copies of Ghostwire Tokyo have you seen in the store? Like 2 or 3?
Yeah, definitely not many.
In the time since it's been out? Like, I don't even know if it's a good game. I just know that in terms of pure rarity, like, I never see it. Like, I've seen, like, a lot of copies of Dead Space and a lot of copies of Callisto Protocol, but I've seen, like, a couple copies of Ghostwire Tokyo, and I'm like, huh.
YOLO! Yeah.
Even stuff like Ghost of Tsushima Director's Cut, like, it's a first-party Sony-produced physical game, and I never see copies of it.
The other big problem is that PS5 owners do not buy games.
They just literally don't.
I don't know why they buy PS5s. I guess it's just for
Fortnite.
Free-to-play games, and also just, like, PlayStation Plus. You can get the tier with, in 10,000 quotation mark, free games. And they just live off that, I guess.
But literally, I really... Series X, I don't think anyone's ever going to care about. Maybe there will be a couple, like, quote-unquote rare games.
It's funny, because if people cared about Xbox, it would be the rarest and most expensive by a landslide. Mm-hmm. No one buys. Like, if we're making fun of the PS5 for no physical game sales, Xbox is a barren wasteland of Game Pass ruining their retail sales.
Starfield could eventually be pretty dang rare. Physically. But... nobody cares.
Everything.
I want to put this into a completed cast. Like, I want to, like, write down my arguments so, it's very concise and well put out, but it kind of frustrates me that, like, nobody cares about digital media rights until something negative happens to them about that. Like, for instance, like, a game is on Game Pass, right? And nobody buys it physically because it's just on Game Pass, right? But then the second it's not on Game Pass anymore, or taken away digitally where you can't download it anymore, everyone starts freaking out, wants the game, wants to find it, and is, oh, our rights and whatever. It's like, But until this happened to you, until it was taken away, you didn't care. Look at the Forza Horizon games. They, like, did not sell very well physically at all because it's just Game Pass. And then they were taken off. All of them were taken off, or a lot of them were taken off of digital distribution. And now when we get Forza Horizon games in, they sell in like a day or two because you don't have the option as well for digital. And it's like, it just makes me sad that it's like, you do care, but not until something happens negatively. You could just purchase it physically to begin with, but you don't care until it's not available digitally, and then you're like, oh, it's an injustice.
Yeah.
If that makes sense.
I mean, consumers are so fickle. As long as it's convenient, then it's like, oh, who cares about anything? But of course, nothing in life is forever. And as soon as it's taken away, it's like, oh, now it matters, and now it just jumps. And then people pay, like, obscene amounts of money for this stuff.
Where
which
it's
is also weird.
It was just available, quote-unquote, free on Game Pass or digital or whatever. It's just very interesting to me. I just wish people cared before it gets to that point. Like, everyone freaked out when The Crew, Ubisoft, became delisted. But, like, and I get it, it is symbolic. I understand where they're coming from. But it's like, nobody cared until that happened.
You're just full of surprises.
All I can say is, I have access to almost every single streaming service for movies and shows and all that. And legitimately, almost every single time I want to watch a movie, it's not available on any of them. And I don't have, like, this ridiculously obscure taste, you know? Like, I wanted to watch Apocalypse Now, and I was like, oh, it's gotta be on something, Max or Hulu or what. It's nothing. The only way you can do it is to rent it for, like, $5. And I'm like, what the heck? I could buy the Blu-ray for $5.
Yeah.
Like, I get it if it's a new release. I understand. But, like, it's like Apocalypse Now. It's like a really well-known top 100 of all-time movie. And it's like, it's not available on anything? That's just very frustrating to me. I would understand if, like, only had Netflix. I'd be like, well, you have what's available. But if I'm like, I want to watch this movie, and it's like, don't even try, kid.
It sure is lame.